Hello and welcome to a game of Beyond All Reason. Today we're on Supreme Isthmus on the front line, and Mr. Trash-Panda here is going to show us exactly how it's done. So for this lobby, it's a relatively medium skill lobby, I would say. There are quite a few high level players like Ephemera, you've got ATAX, and then you've got obviously Trash-Panda and Tina that are on the front line. As with most Supreme Isthmus games, unfortunately the lowest OS players have been demoted to the front line. But we are going to be focusing on Trash-Panda here. Now he's got a relatively unique build that I've not seen before, which is I'd like to highlight. So we go straight into 3 metal extractors, because you get just enough starting energy along with the base 25 that the commander gets in order to build them, and then he goes straight into a solar collector. Normally it is rather inefficient, but Supreme Isthmus, for some reason the wind always tends to dip right at the start. So the extra metal you get from getting the metal extractor first as well, it just feels a lot nicer to go into the solar collector. There's also no stall because it requires no energy, and you've got plenty of metal. From there you go straight into the bot lab. Trash-Panda does get shared 4 windmills here by his teammate in the orange, which is relatively nice of him. So I would say while you're building the bot lab, rotate between the bot lab and wind turbines based on your energy needs. If you try to go through the entire bot lab without any wind turbines, you will bottom out, unfortunately. Now then, this allows Trash-Panda to get his bot lab up relatively quickly. But what he's going to do is he's immediately going to make a grave robber. Now the grave robber is going to go and eat these trees, and it's going to produce quite a bit of energy for him so that he can then make a constructor. The constructor is immediately going to come up and it's going to claim the mexes, followed by a second grave robber, which is immediately going to come up and then start eating some of this metal. Now then, on the opposite side, a lot of times you'll see people open with 1 mex straight into a bot lab to try and claim this metal with their teammates sharing them wind. Which I'd argue is a very good build, but I think this build does better, to be fair. I think it's just better. His teammate Tina, he's going straight into vehicles, making those blitzes so that he can get a presence on the front line relatively soon. If you try and go into the Yanis's and the Stouts, they're just a little bit too slow to make, and a little bit too slow to actually get on the front line and start helping. Speed it up to 1 times now. Okay, so there's the first grave robber. It's going to start eating some of these trees, providing enough energy for Trash-Panda to power out the next constructor and the grave robber. The LT, I'd prefer it to be over a bit, but then you would have to move the commander. I believe that's at the edge of his build range, yep. Ticks can still squeeze past here, but it's going to get the majority of the leaks. There's some rovers and blitzers coming up to try and assist over here, but the grave robber is immediately going to start eating up some of that metal and pouring it back into thug production. Now he's not gone for any scouts or anything. He's gone straight into thugs, which I'd argue is a very good idea here. A lot of the times people will put pawns or grunts and rocket bots on the front line. Eventually rocket bots, not straight away. But the thugs will do fantastic against these. His teammate's got a load of blitzers out, which is immediately going to start staking a claim to the middle. I'd like to see him maybe push them up a bit more. It'd be a lovely trade there. Thugs are not amazing at killing ticks. They don't have, obviously, they don't have instant tracking like some of the projectiles will miss, as you see. The LLT will clear most of those up. 1 tick is not too bad. You can deal with that with a commander. Not too much of a problem. Constructor's still moving up, building the metal extractors, claiming the rich metal extractors, which is nice. He's almost lost a grave robber there. Nope, it's going to live. It's going to live. Okay, so micro is, well, it's a part of bar, really. It is a very important skill to have in bar. With so many units on the battlefield, such a large battlefield, so many players, it is something that can be very difficult. Now then, one of the reasons thugs are amazing is because they outrange almost all of the tier 1 units that you can produce. by obviously rocket bots, but then the rocket bots I don't think trade it too well into thugs. They outrange commanders and they outspeed commanders. So anytime a commander comes in too close, like for a D-gun, you immediately walk the thugs away out of range and they can continue shooting. This commander is going to go down. Obviously microing against the pawns as well. Can be very difficult to deal with. Once you've got a critical mass of thugs, you can literally just walk into the enemy base and there's very little they can do about it. This is going to provoke a reaction. There's the first commander going down. I would like to see the res bots immediately come up and eat the corpse of the commander. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of an APM stall, but at the end of the day, this is very micro intensive. These thugs are now going to be able to push up and they're going to be able to take out the bot lab and they're just going to be able to eliminate this player altogether. Granted, if this was a higher skill player, there would be a little bit more of a defense. But at the same time, I think that this would still do very well. This is a very nasty push to try and stop. Trash-Panda is now going to start walking the commander up. I would like to have seen him make a construction bot to continue assist in this factory, but that's fine. He's going to push up his commander up to the front line. He's going to assist this construction bot building the metal extractors, and he is going to continue to increase his frontline presence with the thugs. There's the grave robber. I would have liked to have seen him eat all this metal. The green commander is actually going to come over and he's going to manage to steal that. That's one player eliminated. So the blue commander behind this player normally would either go into a water economy or he would assist the front line where needed. He is now going to have to take over the front line, so all of his time is going to be occupied here. The thugs are pushing up. Again, there is not a lot that this commander can do at all to stop them. The shurikens are a fantastic option here, and the fiends. So tier 2 is normally how you would stop these, to be honest with you. The shurikens come in, they immobilize the thugs, and then the fiends get in and deal the damage. The issue is the thugs will still trade relatively well into these fiends if you have enough of them and you're able to kite them back. I do think that's a bit of an overextension, but at the end of the day, it is forcing this player to produce units rather than tier 2 constructors and handing them out. So it is really putting a dampener on his game plan. On the front line, Trash-Panda is going to make some construction turrets, and he's going to continue building them. I would like to see an AA turret here, just in case of a bomber coming in and taking out these construction turrets. Although it doesn't really seem like the air player is producing too many air units at the moment. Green player is coming in, he's got that transport, and he is probably going to degun this geothermal. This is a relatively common move we see with most commanders at the higher levels of play. They'll come in, they'll drop the commander off, cloak him, they'll just degun the geothermal power plant without them expecting it. Ooh, gets the T2 there as well. Another thing you can do, if you've got destroyers and you have a relatively good hold on the naval, is you can bring the destroyers here and they can actually reach the geothermal power plant, which is pretty deadly. The blue commander is doing something similar. He's managed to take out the enemy Vortex commander down here, and he's going to start producing LLTs here. He's disabling these mexes, so these mexes would normally go to the green player here, but unfortunately he is very lacking in metal. He's also got the island for himself as well. That's a lovely push. Now then, with the T2 out, the T2 fiends, I don't believe you're going to get too much done with the thug. So I would, yep, there we go. He's gone straight into the T2. He does have the metal for it. You can eat the T1 lab. You can eat the solar collector. He's just produced 3 constructors there. I expect him to, yep, he's going to start eating now. And you can pump all that straight into the T2. You can see here, 849 metal has been... Oh, wow. Okay. So not a whole lot was done about the green commander coming up here and degunning the Geo. So the green commander's then gone in and actually deguns the yellow player's base. Unfortunately, there was a bit of an APM stall there. Probably not much help from his allies. Which is kind of unfortunate, to be honest with you. It is kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, Trash-Panda here is going to produce a T2 excuse me, a T2 construction bot on the front line to upgrade these rich metal extractors. Now these are absolutely fantastic because they don't just double in metal produced. I believe they either triple or quadruple. So the 4.3 I believe is going to go up to 17 metal, which is phenomenal. And that's going to fund his T2 economy. Geothermal power plant being built. Unfortunately he is... oh no, he's got plenty of energy. I would like to see those three on that. Looks like he was building it at the same time as the advanced bot lab, which I'd rather choose one or the other. I would like to see these three come back and eat up that bot lab though, as that's plenty of metal that you can produce into Sheldons. A couple of the boats coming in here. Looks like it's been shared to the blue commander to assist on the front line. As you can see, rocket bots and themes being mixed in here, but the thugs will still trade relatively well. I like the LLTs on the front line because unfortunately thugs and the likes are not particularly good against, say, ticks that are being massed here for a frontline push. The other naval players, they have in fact pushed in. I don't see... yes. An Orca's taken out the shipyard. I don't see pink coming back from this, unfortunately. So I'd argue both seas have been lost. But you still have Trash Panda here. He's going to start producing Sheldons on the front line. Sheldons are fantastic. Again, I'd argue go... I would say build 5 Sheldons, and then I would go into a radar and a jammer bot. There we go, he's just queued them up. So the radar bot has a fantastic line of sight. It's actually got 925, but it also allows radar in that area to give Sheldons something to shoot at. Otherwise, if you don't have the radar vision, the Sheldons, they're not particularly great. They are very squishy, so in order to stop them from getting shot back, he's going to produce a jammer bot, and he's going to mix the jammer and the radar bot in with the Sheldon clump that he's going to produce. Obviously, Sheldons are very squishy, so they really do not like being shot back. Here comes that tick push. I believe he's got enough light laser turrets. The commander's secondary gun, the little laser, is actually relatively good at taking out ticks as well, so he's not going to have any issues there. Fortunately, the thugs and the Sheldons have a bad habit of bit of friendly fire. They have a bit of friendly fire when ticks coming in. So the ticks are coming in, they're trying to hit the ticks. Because they've got a slow projectile, they're aiming in front of the ticks so they can hit each other. It does look like the rest of his team are having issues pushing back the 2 naval players though, which is, it's unfortunate. But again, this is a very, very dangerous push. He's producing Sheldons on the front line. He's taken up to the the enemy geo. There's plenty of reclaim here for him if he would like to go into a few res bots. There's plenty of metal reclaim. But at the same time, I think he would like to continue pushing through. Now then, if he was to push through with these Sheldons, either side... T2 is literally just being handed out now. That's how much of a delay there has been. From that initial push, it has delayed this player so much that the blue C player, which is the highest open skill in the game, is only just receiving his tier 2 constructor. He's only just finished upgrading his own metal extractors, for that matter. And here comes the Sheldon push, immediately taken out a commander. There isn't really anything you can do about that. Backed up by the thugs, and he's just going to continuously produce these. Oh no, he's going into fiends. So he's going to produce fiends to back up the Sheldons, because they're out of range of the light laser turrets. Unfortunately, if a big tick push was to come in now, they would be able to get on top of them. But the fiends are there to sort of counter that, or pawns or something. The blue player has finally won C, and he's gone into the amphibious tanks, and he's immediately come around and taken out the geothermal power plant. I think this is the best thing to do once you've won C. Immediately go into a few of these salamanders, and you can do a surprising amount of damage. Unfortunately, they're quite slow to react to certain things like this. So I'd argue if the green player did the exact same thing, he'd probably get a lot of damage done there. He'd at least take out the geothermal power plant. But he doesn't really... Yep. He has done the exact same thing. Yep. So the salamanders, they can either come up here, right around the back, and deal plenty of damage. But as of right now, There are Sheldons and Fiends pushing right the way through this team. The eco player has had to pause his eco and immediately go into Hounds to try and stop this push from going too far. The Shurikens are a fantastic addition. I think there should have been maybe an anti-air bot going in, and we've got a counter push coming from this way. Don't forget, this is, what, 4, 5 players producing units and trying to counter this one player. So there's 4 or 5 players ganging up on this one player. It's provoking a response from the entire team. You've got the air player, you've got the eco player. You've even got this naval player that's had to send in ticks. He had units coming in, commander coming in. Even had his naval units come in to try and help out. That's how much of a response has been given. Salamanders are coming in. They are going to start destroying this geothermal power plant. I would like to see the destroyers target the geo, but they give up instead. I would argue that this build is still a fantastic build to go, and I think it would win most of your games. However, unfortunately, you cannot win all of the games. It doesn't matter how well you play, sometimes in the 8v8s, you just can't have quite as much impact. So if you win, this example is he lost both oceans, there isn't really anything you can do as a frontline player to come back into this. That's fine though. I still think this was a fantastic game and Trash-Panda played absolutely fantastically. Anyway, this is actually my very first YouTube video, and I would like to make more in the future. I would probably aim for me to upload maybe 1 a week if possible. So if you've enjoyed this, feel free to give it a like. If you have any feedback for me, please feel free to give it a like or a dislike and pop it down in the comments. That would be fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.